I've come to Sandhurst in Surrey, the British Army's Chief Officer Training College, to ask what role the sacred has in 21st century conflict. Regimented training bears some of the hallmarks of ritual and spectacle that the ancients would have appreciated, and these young women and men still parade under the gaze of Mars.
That's Mars and Minerva up there, and young officers who pass out here talk about passing out under the watchful eye of the god of war and the goddess of wisdom.
I'm meeting Army Chaplain Andrew Totten to ask him about his direct experience of war and religion in the British military.
You walk in here under those brilliant figures of Mars, the god of war, and Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, on the pediment. Do you think they actually mean something to the officers who train and have trained here?
I think there is that desire to look back to your classical roots, to look back to Rome, to look back to Athens. The really interesting thing is when you get Jerusalem coming into it as well. So those classical gods, what does it mean when you bring into the figure of Mars, for example, the figure of Christ? Not an avenging God, but a suffering God.
There are classical references everywhere. I mean, there's a huge banner there, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori, sweet and right it is to die for your fatherland. The men and then the women who've trained here, again, do you think that these references are something that they've carried with them, that they've taken with them onto the battlefield or into active service?
I think probably modern officer cadets are probably more shocked to see that quotation from Horace via Wilfred Owen's interpretation, obviously, of the pity of war. And of course, war is a pitiable thing.
Do you think there can be ever such a thing as a sacred war?
No. No, war can't be sacred, but the foundational principles of the British law of armed conflict include those of humanity, of reducing suffering. So it's life, not war, that is sacred.
As a historian, I see through recorded time men who have been happy to call themselves soldiers of Mars. Is this a tradition that you can imagine continuing into the future?
If you see that as the warrior tradition, yes, that is alive. You'll find warriors in every regiment, certainly every combat regiment of the British Army.
Some people say that there's a similar intensity to being in active service, to fighting on the battlefield, and a religious experience.
I think certainly of a particular patrol in Afghanistan where the soldiers came under ambush, and in the course of that had to respond and begin to fight back against the enemy. I have never seen soldiers happier, more professionally fulfilled, where there was the sense of their discipline, their training, their skills, all coming together at the same time as trying to protect any innocent people who may have been in that particular battle space. So there is almost that kind of rapture that can happen in combat.
And what about you? Because you're obviously a man of faith, you're also a man of war. How do you reconcile those two impulses in your life?
I don't think you ever completely emotionally reconcile them. I don't think you should. I think you need to keep the sensitivity to all those ambiguities within it. Horrible things happen in war. The most ghastly things happen in that respect. And that's where it leaves that sense of lasting ambiguity. You know that you're doing something that needs to be done, but it may still, in its own essence, be something that is evil.
As I've been exploring the many incarnations of Mars throughout history, what's become clear is that the god of war isn't simply a one-dimensional harbinger of chaos and destruction. His raging spirit can bring rapture, and his military might deliver the benefits of peace, prosperity and order.
Surely that is partly why we've sacralised war. Why, as the Greeks put it, men love the lamentable works of Ares. because the uncomfortable truth is that battle can benefit societies. But today, with annihilation possible at the push of a button, and with the passions of holy war still running high, we have to embrace the idea that immortal Mars will have no domain to rule over unless we accept that it is not war that is sacred, but life.